lot of these people really like to give up and they don't really have that drive.
Envy's bad. Envy's bad.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to Ascent.
We kind of just threw at the end.
And just winning everything.
I'm with a better team now.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, M80, we're winning 5 versus 3.
Corner. Oh, line up. I need take with like now over to the first.
And they buy themselves some time. It's Spaz that could do it.
How quick this one. Oh, especially now.
5 Rebellion Black, your Challengers champion.
Welcome to Valorant Challengers League North America. I'm your host, Elizabeth, joined by some of the best ladies in the business. We have Gompers and Dryad on the desk with me today. Ladies, how you doing? Who wants to go first? Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling. My camera was not working for a second, but it was fixed, so we're good. Nothing happened. I was not freaking out.
No, there was no random screams of "oh no." Totally fine. Totally calm and collected. No. We're so good. Gompers, how you feeling? We got rid of the wrong pred yesterday. I'm sure.
Yeah, we
now
did.
we're gonna be 100% today.
I felt like a traitor. I felt like a traitor going for someone other than Trust and Plug, but you know, it's all based on performance, I guess.
It's all good. Well, listen, Plug has a chance to redeem themselves today because we are here back with 2 back-to-back games today, which I personally am very, very excited for. And I was prepping for it. I was like shaking, like literally on my note taking that I was so excited. But we do have 2 games for you guys today. Moving forward, we do have Plug and M80, and then non-verbal, excuse me, I almost said the other name, non-verbal and Prosperity Esports. And this Swiss stage is Dan, is turning out to be quite, I said this yesterday, the kind of a litmus test of like seeing where everyone's at and seeing how they're going to perform moving forward. Basically just kind of, if you are first paying attention to challengers now is a great time to see kind of where the level setting is.
Yeah, I think the first week, as we saw M80 lose to Ambrosia, we were like, okay, is this how it's going to be for all the other teams that we expect to win, to be losing their matches? But then, no, it was fine. It was all back to normal. M80 wins their match just recently, and now it seems like the teams that are winning are the teams you're expecting to win, right? It's the teams that you saw in stage 1 look really good. Now moving into stage 2, they look stronger, as the other ones are kind of still figuring out what they want to do and how they're going to improve in time.
I mean, Gompers, right away, looking at this Swiss stage bracket, is there anything that stands out to you? Anything if you had to tell someone to go back and watch the VOD, is there anything that you would tell them to watch right away?
Oh gosh, honestly, I'm not sure. Everything has been turning out, I guess, the way that I feel like has been predicted. So as far as good games, oh man, I mean, Burgers definitely put up a pretty good fight against M80 in that first map. I definitely stop it there, and then maybe. So I guess that's something that I would say be excited to watch. But yeah,
I think for me would be watch any NV game. Like, I think they're absolutely like just such an exciting team to watch. And if you are new to challengers, you know, kind of look up their story, look how they got here. They're, I think, just the team to root for. Now I don't want to call them a dark horse maybe, but absolutely exciting. But we're not watching them today. We're watching other folks today. We're going to be watching Trust in Plug versus M80 first. We saw both of these teams play yesterday, but not against each other. So if you joined us yesterday, kind of take what you saw yesterday and mash it up, put it together, because we are going to see these folks play each other today. We did see M80 win yesterday, but Trust in Plug lose yesterday. Dan, you couldn't join us on the desk yesterday due to technical issues, but going back, and I'm going to ask you right away, like, what is your immediate thought about this matchup?
My immediate thought, okay, I want to talk about immediate thoughts come with what was just announced for M80, right? So week 1, we go into this team that just does not win their opening match against Ambrosia. And at that time, we thought the coaches were going to be Drew Spark, was going to be Chet as well, who had just joined, and Psycho. Then Psycho says, okay, I'm actually just kind of managing things. I'm not the coach. It's okay. He's gone. So it's down to 2. And then they play this one match that we saw yesterday. But now, just now, Drew Spark announces that he's leaving the team. So I just think it's insane the amount of changes that the team has had on the coaching staff, because sometimes you see it for players specifically, especially in challengers, you're willing to make changes after stage 1 if things don't go the way that you want to. But for M80, everything was going well. I love the addition of Chet, but now DrewSpark leaving, it just kind of leaves me wondering what are the things that are happening inside, and how is this going to allow the players and set up the players for success. I'm assuming it's maybe just a very different system that DrewSpark and Chet had, and I mean, it proved that it was good yesterday getting that win, but I want to see now a little bit more of that consistency. I mean, we know what Chet is capable of doing. We know he's lifted international trophies, but now on this squad, it's just a lot of changes that we need to take into account as we go and watch these games.
Yeah, I think, you know, Chet's biggest test, not biggest test, but a great test right now is that he's going to have to face a team that just competed yesterday most recently, Trust and Plug. Go back and VOD review. And, you know, he was busy doing an interview with me. So he might have stayed up a little bit late, but they'll be facing Trust and Plug, led by Teague, their IGL. And we highlighted some of these folks yesterday. But Dan, Gompers, we were talking yesterday about, like, these are some, you don't want to sleep on this team. Even though they didn't win, and we saw genuinely some macro issues from them, they were all absolutely fixable and adjustable within this time frame between yesterday and today.
Yeah. No, they honestly looked, I would say, really, really good. They definitely have a couple things that I feel need to be reworked. You know, they played against Envy yesterday. They didn't have the best time. It was definitely a closer game, but I feel like they lacked a lot of that mid-round planning and aggression. But I'm hoping that, you know, after being able to get the nerves out and, you know, okay, we're on camera, it wasn't that big of a deal, let's go back, let's do the same thing again, and maybe even better. And I'm hoping even better, because the second game, you know, we got to see Teague shine a bit, you know, against Envy, and that kind of showed that the nerves were starting to leave. So for Trust and Plug coming in today, is it going to be a different story, or are we going to just see, you know, the same repetitiveness of not being able to have that plan B, you know, in the mid round?
Dan, someone we wanted to highlight today is Sacred. It's a player that we saw yesterday, when we wanted to highlight them because this is a player that, while may not be having the most flashy plays or whatever it may be, has been extremely solid and has been someone to watch. I mean, a 1.9 KD, like, it's just someone that is, like, you know, that the SpongeBob mean, like, all reliable. Like, that sort of, like, just, like, they'll get the job done type beat, Dan.
Yeah, I like the way that Sacred has been playing recently. It's sure you're not finding success against these teams that are a little bit stronger, but I do like the way that they like to go for these pass plays where he's pretty much only playing the Omen as of recently, and he's a player that is very flexible when it comes to the controller role. We've seen a little bit of Astra, we've seen a little bit of everything else with the Brimstone too, but going into this Omen and going into these Omen maps, he is willing to take those fights, and he's also willing to set up Chaotic for success, right? Send the Paranoia in, Chaotic is answering right after. And it's just those little things that allow them for a faster play that sometimes catches teams off guard for a few rounds. So that is, you know, one of the win conditions that you have when you look at this player and Trust and Plug in general.
I mean, honestly, right now we're looking at Clove on Bind, which is a much more, we've seen Clove plenty on Bind with the aggressive playstyle. Bind is no longer on the map pool. Dan, do you think there's any chance, this is maybe like a big pie in the sky question, of seeing an Astra or, you know, a Brim mayhaps, like, because Omen, while he has been playing this kind of perma Omen and has been playing extremely well, there is room to, you know, trick your opponent and move forward and change it up? Or do you think that they're going to stay with the Omen? Because, I mean, Omen's in such a great place in the meta right now.
It's going to depend for sure on the maps that we're going to be seeing, because we've seen now Ascent 2 times, Haven 1 time, and Lotus 1 time from this team. So those maps really set up that Omen for success, and you're going to see that Omen more often than not. Now, if we move into other maps, obviously, if we go into Fracture, for example, you're going to be probably seeing that Brimstone. It's going to depend, but for now, I like that they're going with these maps that are forcing him to play this Omen that is so good.
Yes, I mean, Omen is such a steady duelist. I think I was talking to someone about just the state of the game yesterday, and I was like, if you see an Omen, again, all reliable, kind of that steady, strong pick. But one of Sacred's teammates is Chaotic, someone we also wanted to highlight on the broadcast today. I think we're going to throw up some stats for him right now. Again, I wish we had a photo to help him shine, but I mean, Gompers, I'm just going to send it to you right away about Chaotic, because I know you printed them yesterday, so I'm going to let you take it.
Yeah, no, Chaotic is a phenomenal player. I think yesterday we didn't necessarily get to see how well Chaotic can play, just because it wasn't really that game where they were playing the way they typically do, right? Majority of the time, Chaotic wasn't being set up for these pushes, and I mean, per se, it really did feel like Chaotic was a little afraid to play yesterday. Of course, that being given, they were playing against a team that was really, really assertive. Envy was pushing them to their limits. So for Chaotic today, you know, I feel like it really is all about letting this player shine, letting this player play their best game, because they are absolutely phenomenal when put on the Yoru. They are absolutely phenomenal when you're able to actually allow them as the initiator, as the controller, to execute on the site, to feel that level of confidence. And we get to see it, you know, in these clips, right? They're not afraid to peek these angles, but yesterday they were, and that was an issue.
Something that I wanted to say about this as well is that we've seen how this meta for the Yoru has shifted in Challengers, and how a lot of the teams, a lot of the players started playing a lot of this Yoru. I think for Chaotic, he's one of the best ones that we've had, but is missing a little bit of a consistency too. For Trust and Plug, we've seen what they're capable of doing when they look good, when they look clean, and they're able to go for the side hits with the Yoru. It's really, really insane, but it's just not something that we see every time. It seems like sometimes they get... they're kind of forced to play what the enemy wants them to play and how they want them to play, and that is when Chaotic's struggling a little bit more. So that is one of the win conditions that they have today against one of the stronger teams that we have in Challengers. I mean, M80 made it to the second place just in that stage 1. So you have to say M80 is the favorite here, unless some crazy things happen on the other side.
And what a test for Chaotic to, you know, to show that consistency, show what we've been talking about, you know, this Yoru that, you know, I mean, yes, they played against Extra yesterday, who's Extra, but, you know, this is a really awesome test to show the skill, and something that we've been telling the audience that, you know, this is a Yoru that you need to look out for, and like Dan said, is one of the best. But again, like I've been saying, just verbatim, they will be facing M80 today, and we've talked about the coach changes. We've talked, if you're not aware of it, we'll get into a little bit, but this is a roster, if you're just watching, it's definitely full of heavy hitters and names that, whether you're competing or in ranked, you want to just run away from. But Dan, you talked about in the beginning of the show, so I'm going to throw to you that this team was coached by Drew Spark, of formerly of Exa and Sentinels, but now, as of literally an hour ago, basically has decided, or an hour and a half ago, has announced that they will be stepping down from his position at M80 for Chet, just to be, I assume, the sole coach, Dan.
Yeah, that's what it seems like is going to be the case. So beginning of the year, just to paint a picture for everybody, it was Drew Spark and Psycho, both of them coaching. Then Chet joins as of stage 2. So you have Chet and Drew Spark, Psycho moving into management, and now Drew Spark leaving. I'm assuming Psycho is going to stay managing M80 and all the operations. So as of right now, it's only Chet coaching the team. So a lot of changes in the coaching staff that you really don't see very often. But now let's look at the players. They're fine. They're so good. They constantly make it to the grand finals since last year, even changing a little bit of the roster that we have today compared to last year. They are one of the favorites that we have, and it's for a reason. Everybody's so consistent, so reliable, and now is when we're going to start to see what, if any, changes Chet is going to present to them when it comes to compositions, when it comes to the way that they're playing, to see if this time around is not a second place, but a first place.
Something that Chet said to me in our post-match interview yesterday is that, you know, they're still kind of adjusting, still finding that sort of rhythm and that synergy together. And he said something very interesting to me during the interview. He said, we should not be getting 11-13 wins against non-salary teams. He doesn't want that to happen. He said that is not what we want. And so moving forward today, we will see how that goes. But a player we want to focus on for M80 is Bao, who had an excellent game yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly, Gompers. Just someone who just kind of always finds himself in the right place at the right time and will deliver incredible, not only mechanics, but just like stuff that frankly he should not be getting away with.
Yeah, he honestly, he was great yesterday. I don't think there was anything in specific that I would say really had an issue. Of course, like headlining it was Sato, a lot, but in the background it really was Bao. Again, it's all about the confidence for the duelist, and the only way to feel you know, good getting onto the site, it really is a majority of the time the controller, right? And Bao being able to fill in that role, whether it be on Split, whether it be on Lotus, you know, playing into that Viper role, it felt like a lot of the time there wasn't any space to be taken away because Bao was always there. Obviously that's such a demon demon clip. The fact that they put that first was so sad. But it's always Bao there to really just take up space. And I think it's so nice to know, you know, as a duelist, well, I still have this person there, you know, lurking, whether it be behind, whether it be trying to take up the space that I need to really execute on. And it's always Bao. It's always, you know, the Viper's wall, just being there to guide everybody else onto the site. And just a beautiful player overall with the aim as well. I mean, you can see it here. There really is honestly, no critique that I can have for this player in general. There have been no mistakes that I've seen so far that should be pointed out.
The perfect player, just that.
Truly.
I love watching Bao. He's so fun. I think when we were watching stage 1, he was playing a lot of that Vice as well. And now obviously moving into the controller, kind of flexing into these 2 roles. And he's just so good when it comes to the late rounds and how he knows he wants to play by himself. It's really impressive, right? Because you have this guy, Sato, going in first, getting the openings that, you know, at some point he was struggling to do so. But who was the guy constantly saving him from those situations? It was Bao, getting 2-3, getting those multi-kills constantly. So now if you have these 2 players kind of active and having a good day, you have an M80 that is just completely unstoppable.
I mean, Gompers, you highlighted him a little bit while we were talking about Bao. You know, there is no Sato without Bao. Sato specifically, I asked chat yesterday, like, what is it like playing with this player who is just simply different and like Bao gets away with so much. But you highlighted him a little bit while you were talking about Bao, so I'm just going to let you take it and speak about Sato, who, if you are not paying attention to this duelist, you are making a grave mistake, my dear audience.
Yeah, he was on yesterday, and that's what I wanted to see, right? Again, against Ambrosia, it wasn't the best game. It felt like Sato wasn't performing to the best of their ability, but here, the confidence levels were off the chart. The split game went, gosh, way better, and I don't know what they fixed, but they fixed it. And again, just an extremely talented duelist with a knack for literally murdering everything. And it's a skill to just have such an I guess such a great reaction time. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to seeing, are they on today? Are they off? I'm hoping that they continue to keep this streak because M80 just looked phenomenal yesterday.
I think it's definitely one of those things where, like, we always, like, especially yesterday, we tried to highlight the more support, like the support players, our initiators, even today our controllers, but not to highlight Sato would be a crime almost. It's kind of almost like the floor of Shot by Rebellions. Like, you always have to talk about her. and then with M80, you always have to talk about Sato because what he gets away with and what he is able to do for the team, including, most importantly, in my opinion, making space and making the other team feel a lot of pressure and sweat is really, really important. But Dan, looking at this head-to-head, we have Chaotic versus Sato today. I mean, might see that Yoru v Yoru matchup. Where do you think, Dan, these duelists will find their biggest conflict with each other?
I mean, I love seeing Sato on the Raze. I just think that's his base agent compared to maybe a little bit of the Jet, the Yoru, whatever else that he's playing. I just think I think any map where Sato is allowed to play the Raze is a map that you can expect a lot more consistency from him. And honestly, that has been a little bit of a struggle from stage 1, and it is not really his fault. I don't really blame it on him. It's just he had to go through a lot of changes from moving to Brazil to having to move now twice inside of the US to now kind of finding himself a little bit better. So I think as he finds consistency, you want to rely on those maps. And while on side of Chaotic, you've seen a lot of the Yoru, he's kind of able to play in whatever map that we're going into. But if you're looking for a strong win condition for Sato, maybe it could be something like Fracture.
I mean, Gompers, I mean, I'm going to go back to you because you vowed for Trust and Plug yesterday, so I'm going to keep on going to you as their kind of their Britannica, if you will. Chaotic, do you think this is a equal matchup between the duelists for maybe those in the audience who don't know either duelist very well?
You know, oh man, that's a hard one because it's like, I feel like not everyone has gotten to see what Chaotic can do. So I'm going to say, yeah, to be completely honest with you. I feel like they're both pretty equal in terms of being able to take up space. The issue, again, being, you know, is Chaotic being set up for it. I guess the only difference I would say is Sato is a lot better at being that individual player that occasionally doesn't need to be set up for those certain specific plays. But, you know, if Chaotic is set up correctly and they feel confidence going into a side or they feel confidence picking off a 2v1 or a 1v1, then I feel like then, you know, they really do shine and they can be... exactly comparable to Satho. But in terms of individual skill, I guess I'll say Satho might just be a bit up there just in terms of being able to, you know, not have to be set up for plays to feel confidence in. They are confident in who they are as a player and what they can handle.
Well, moving into today, this is Trust and Plug's greatest test, I think, to be while facing M80. I'm looking very much forward to it. And we do have some map picks and bans for you and us on the desk as well, because we have not seen these yet. We're going to see Ascent, Split, and Haven. Dan, I'm going to go to you right away. You were talking about, like, it really depends on the maps. It really depends on the maps. What stands out to you with this map, Veto?
Well, first time that we saw M80 this stage play Ascent, I was just praying that it was not going to be the default composition because I was going to lose it. I was going to go crazy. But then they showed when they play against Ambrosia that no, they actually bring something different. And I actually love to see it. Is Okeanos on the Tejo, Victor on the Vice. And they're playing around with this composition in a very interesting way, especially because they're willing to innovate with Sato on the Waylay. So I love to see this from them, especially because they get the chance to start on the defense once again. They struggle a little bit towards the end when they went into the attacking side. So I'm going to be paying attention to how those entries are going to look like for Sato if he's staying on this Waylay. But I think they do have the strongest competition going here.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would say that too, just because, you know, again, Trust and Plug, not the best performance yesterday in terms of what Ascent was looking like. Their attack was very, very slow.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, like, again, their mid-round, you know, planning was just not there. And they were lacking in a lot of adaptation. They just didn't know how to handle Envy. And I think here, especially going up against a team like M80, where they're very explosive and occasionally tend to be very, very, I guess more so just thoughtful about the way that they're approaching things, it might be a bit hard for Trust and Plug to kind of keep that momentum going, especially since they're starting off attack, which they're way better on defense. That might also be an issue moving forward.
Well, again, like I keep saying, this is neither greatest test, but also personally, Ascent, I'd love to see some innovation from Plug, especially after learning from their mistakes yesterday. But we're all pretty aligned on the desk and the casters. We believe in M80. Gompers, I'm gonna, again, girl. After yesterday, what was it? Just the attack on Ascent? Like, what was it about Trust and Plug that made you, or was it something about M80 that made you so vote for M80 rather than Trust and Plug? Because you were pretty adamant about Trust and Plug yesterday.
I think they're so, I genuinely, deep in my heart, I think Trust and Plug, the potential is there. I really genuinely do. It's just the way that they played yesterday did not give me the confidence going into this game to feel as though, you know, going up against a better team, I guess I wouldn't say better team, but going up against M80, I feel like most definitely will be a bit of a harder match. And, you know, for me personally, if they fix the issues we saw, then absolutely, I think they can definitely withstand the test of time. But yeah, I know that Dan wants to get talking about the fact that
I heard a soft ooh.
Wait, this is so interesting. They're switching roles again. So instead of Okeanos on the Tejo, it's going to be Victor on this Tejo, who he was playing the Vice before. So Bao is going to back to that Vice that we've seen in stage 1. I said I feel like this is one of his best agents as we got to see all those matches being played. But it's interesting that they're willing to switch something like this. And also that Waylay conversation that we had, well, that's not going to be there anymore because it's going to be the Euro versus Euro 2. So really interesting changes for M80 when it comes to roles.
I think there was a tweet yesterday that someone said to Okeanos, where basically they're trying to figure out what he's going to play, and it's like like a roulette wheel. Like you're not sure what's going to happen. That's funny. And I think it was a player. I forgot to send it. I think it was a player within the Challengers League. But I mean, I'm a Tejo lover, so I'm excited to see Victor on kind of this promo Tejo and those compositional changes. And let's maybe Trust and Plug has been able to fix the mistakes that we saw because they will be starting on that kind of rough attack that we saw yesterday. But enough yapping from us, ladies. We're going to send it to our friends over at the casters to get this game started. It is Lemon Kiwi and Nerds on the call.
Thanks so much, Liz. Yep, only one of these teams will walk away with a positive record in Swiss today. And Victor versus Moose Nerds. I'm so excited. It'll be about, you know, how they bring their experience and that success to their team. And if M80 are truly destined for the top 2 or if Trust and Plug can humble them.
I agree with the head-to-head on the two tier 1s, you know, flexing down in here and the experience they bring. And the thing that I'm like focusing on in terms of doubles is the double Senti composition that I've been really studying recently and thinking to myself how Yoru as well as Waylay kind of counter into that on site entry. And my nerd brain is really going into that level. But I digress. I like the changes out of M80 because I believe a bit ago against Burger Boys, we saw Bao playing on Viper. We saw Sato being on that Yoru. We saw a lot of, prowess out of Victor. So all of those changes make sense with Chet coming in, Drew Sparks leaving, all of these little pieces coming together. My 2 cents, it's only healthy for them.
We'll see if it pays off because, yeah, Chet was talking to Liz about just making sure him and Victor stay productive and really suiting his style on moving him to an initiator, more of a flex role. And now it's Plug moving all the way up to B, and right at the front door, the Sova, the Vise, and a wall that could separate them if they're not careful, but just at a distance, poking their head out. Chaotic is first to fall. Now you got shock bolts that could just try and stagger things. Now Trust and Plug off the cage are able to just rush in. Now they've cleared the side, at least the boat side of things, and Bao just wants to buy time, keep himself safe, stays in the closet, waits for the re-entry of M80, but they're kind of smoked off, so Trust and Plug have a window to try and dislodge these 2 defenders. But Caillou has been just a fragger today off the first blood, drops the spike carrier, almost gets a 4th, and Trust and Plug just one step at a time, but it all crumbles in front of them.
3 gone.
That's unfortunate. Bones is going to be the last player standing, but they're just holding this line. Victor to grab it near the end as well. Good stuff out of M80. Stalling out that site take. It was really slow out of Plug as they were trying to crawl their way into B, and unfortunately, it just doesn't come to fruition. And I think that's another element of this M80 squad is that they feel really coordinated on their own, as well as when they do have to work together. As well as the displacement, right? Caillou caught 2 of them out of the Tejo displacement. It just shows that the coordination out of M80 has been so beautiful to see. And on the defensive side, I feel like they're still going to thrive, even though they aren't playing this new meta of double senti, which has been rising on the defensive side. The reason I bring that up is because a lot of times, it's not your map pick. You end up choosing defense and then going for the double senti, dominating on defense, and then having an easier attack side. At least that's what's been happening throughout some VCT. If we're talking Pacific, we're talking little EMEA, Apex Action, all of those teams. But I digress.
M80 had a lot of changes in just their coaching lineup that the desk talked about, and to just kind of get back to that top 2 peak. Just that first loss that they had in their very first match kind of all took us for a loop. But Trust and Plug, if there's anyone that can kind of surprise you, it's this team. They went to so many map 3s last stage. 6 out of the 7 of their matches last stage went to map 3. So it's like Trust and Plug had these gaps in their map pool that were quite obvious. And now I think they'll try to play as close as they can. They've really leveled up as a team, and they're leveling up towards the A site. And Victor and this Okeanos fellow try to stand in their way, and this Yoru just gets isolated because of the grav net. The door is closed, and probably on this round as well, metaphorically, Trust and Plug are fragged off the map before they could even look at the objective.
I like the reads out of Victor here. Very good timings being caught. Bones now in an impossible scenario for retake, just runs into Victor, who now is not only very close to their ultimate because of finding all those eliminations, but also just really feeling themselves on this role. And that's the thing I said at the top of the show, is that I very much, because of the Burger Boys game and because of the Ambrosia game, am happy that these changes have worked. And it's showing that consistency out of the M80 squad. All of this stuff culminating for M80 to really have a solid couple of rounds here. And even more than that, if you just look at the amount of weapons that they have, the fact that they can, be on defense here with 2 rifles, a Marshall, and Stingers, really doesn't surprise me that they're setting themselves up for success.
With this double senti comp from Trust and Plug, you're expecting them to have a better defensive half, or a lot rides on Chaotic and how he can help entry with the flashes, but Trust and Plug with a different approach, just not all funneling into one site. Started off with B, then A, now really dispersing across the map, and look how forward they are just through this middle lane, already droning off through the back of B. And this is to try and maybe access someone like Caillou at the back.
And playing it slow with the better weapons, and the mid position's really nice here. Something I've seen out of Chaotic is that, you play with that Sova. There have been sometimes Chaotic gets caught off guard, so I'm really looking to see Chaotic be not only aware of the timings, but also just playing off of your initiator.
Taking a lot of time for Trust and Plug to look for information off of Bones and just feeling the most confident about how they can converge into B, but they really revealed their cards. They revealed their foreheads to someone like Caillou, who, man, must have been really warmed up for this match. He is insane today. The 3K off the pistol, the 3K there today, reading Plug like a book. I mean, they droned out of that doorway. M80 just held their ground, and they barely dropped any bodies this match yet.
Man, just reminds me of the time on defense when Plug pulled out a little bit too far and Chaotic got caught off guard. It's just those small, like, timing things. That's just so unfortunate, not clearing logs in the moment. But you can't discredit how Caillou just finding 3 there through the paranoia on the spam is a mix of both luck, timing, and just absolutely optimal intelligence out of the IGL. So now, I mean, they've set themselves up even beyond just the 3rd round, which was, I assumed, would be very tumultuous, but it really wasn't. It was just a one-sided thoroughfare for M80 as they consistently showcase why they're the explosive team that we've come to know and love.
Just the M80 economy is going to get insane too. Just off the bonus, they were able to carry every weapon to the bonus, and then just, I think they only have 4 deaths across these 3 rounds, so M80 definitely bolstering themselves up for a marathon of a run. And I'm glad you brought up the timing there for Trust and Plug, because it is just a sync thing. Imagine if that paranoia came in at the same time as people were walking in. It would be, you'd be able to really stress M80's focus, but right now, Trust and Plug just keep losing members. But this is, you know, a sheriff round. You're not expecting a whole lot.
No. I mean, there is a really good setup here for B. You have the Gate Crash available, so off this exec, there could be a TP down Boathouse, and you have a really, like, it's a 2v3 flood.
Okay, had to shift away. Baozak gonna get the immediate support. Sato holds one side, is able to dispatch the problem, is gonna get netted and a paranoid. So Sato just using his clone for a bit of a meat shield at the end. And Trust and Plug could be getting away with an eco there, just off the man advantage, the trades they had early. Victor is on his way, and this is a tough site to be able to push into. He's got Teague, he's got Sacred up in the closet. Sacred already tagged up, Victor's position revealed. Has a lot of time to work with still. The spike is taking down. Victor's gonna take a different approach. Sacred reads it, and they're just not gonna want to engage that. Beautiful thrifty out of Plug.
Let's go. That was way cleaner. It's funny. It's almost like they heard us because you were bringing up, like, you know, maybe the paranoia can come a bit earlier, the timings. There was a dump of utility on poor Sato, who we expected to be that kind of anchor against the lower buy, but because you had the paranoia, the grav net, you're down on the ground, they could really overwhelm the star duelist, because if the star gets dimmed, well, it can't shine, and that is honestly not a bad call for Plug to make. So now the economy's looking good. We have, in round 5, a really solid rifle between these two teams. Some ultimates online, Hunter's Furies for both sides. And things should be getting spicy with attack op.
That one way it's been, Okeanos hasn't really been pushed to this point. He's ready to present to Chaotic, and just Trust and Plug aren't able to be as explosive with Chaotic. Not as many bells and whistles to really enable that star duelist, and the paranoia even limits Trust and Plug from getting into A, and the Hunter's Fury still manages to get one. Caillou is just built differently this first map, and Trust and Plug, well, I just don't think they're going to be seeing A anytime soon.
Oh, and if you do go back towards B, they have had some success. Oh, the timings. They've doubled up here towards Tree.
Paranoia could be big here for Sacred. Depends if he hits those initiators and he goes in, but just couldn't get the right teamwork going there with Teague. That's what the T stands for, right? Well, how about Nell? Because you got the spike down, and this is not a good spot to hear for Moose.
Yeah. I think Moose might be looking for an eco or just a save for the next 30, because you're going into another round where it's going to be rather rough.
30 seconds left.
There's that first. 30 seconds on the spike. I mean, you keep this op potentially out of the enemy hands. More than that, also, the entire B setup has been the same, so you know what you're going to be running into on Vice with a player disadvantage here. They kind of had to funnel into A and felt like a lose-lose scenario that M80 put Plug into.
10 seconds left.
For Sato to keep this up, that's something to worry about. I don't know how much he's really revealed it this round, but Trust and Plug, they have bigger problems to deal with, like how to actually get into the site. And you could maybe see them try to hit B again. They had some success coming through the mid side, that mid cut door. But you still got to worry about the Vise util and how they're able to really separate Chaotic away from the rest of his team. And to be able to isolate them is what M80 have been so successful at.
Yeah, it's something I kind of brought up, I think, round number 3, where it's like I've seen a couple of moments in VOD reviewing that Chaotic is just a little disjointed away from some of the initiator utility, which you don't want to see out of your duelist by all means. It's not to say Chaotic is by any means not an amazing and star player. It's just more of like, once you get synced in with the team, once you get plugged in, then there's a lot that can come through. Talking about plugs, Trust and Plug, they are close to having a full 5 stack of ultimates. Hunter's Fury and Annihilation are there. You're one off of everything else. And the thing that I'm really looking for is, again, how is this timeout going to help them get synced back together and what ultimates they're going to use? We've had a Vice wall set up consistently towards B. Vice has been going towards B, maybe trying to pressure that. Last time they walked up, it didn't really work in their favor, but now they have ultimates, and even more so, they've carried over that op. So those pieces of utility can really help Plug work together on this timeout.
Trust and Plug are going through their own changes too. Like, they're figuring out roles. I remember, like, yeah, we talked about Moose, but Bones is also new, and he's playing Initiator instead of Duelist, and this was a star Duelist back on his old team. So, and Trust and Plug were a team that played a lot of double Duelist back when Jerwin was on the team, so I had a feeling that maybe Bones could be that second Duelist one day, and definitely need an explosive star Duelist to carry you through these seasons. And then they brought on Coach Goj1. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but Trust and Plug, it's an evolution for them, and they're gonna have to do this round without Moose. Sato shows us up.
And an immediate reposition towards A. They're funneled A as well, and Sato's there as well as the rest of the squad.
We expect just like a crouching up, hidden tiger kind of move there, but hey, Trust and Plug are able to scratch the surface of M80. The Annihilation, that's what I want to see. Disruption out of Trust and Plug, causing that chaos. And Caillou's just keeping position hidden as much as possible as Okeanos gets dragged to his death. Caillou can't avenge him, and this could be one of the best rounds for Trust and Plug, minus of course the thrifty. Spike does go down. Sato with the op is gonna help assist Bao, and if Trust and Plug show their positions, this could be deadly. Teague just trying to buy time. There's the flash from the Yoru. Sato's gonna drop down, swaps off the op, and M80 have a chance to take back over. It's all thanks to Bao, but Sacred holds the op and holds the round for Plug.
Wow. I mean, really testing the setup out of M80 that has been very consistent of the Sato Vice, and then you move off. And it worked, right? Plug utilized their ultimates. We saw a lot more teams sync out of them to enter on, and you even have some new ultimates coming online here. Chaotic gonna hold on to that up, which has proven now with a little bit of patience on that timeout to be way more impactful. We're talking popping out a tree. I remember you saying it was like a little bit of a sneaky maneuver there with the crouching ops. Honestly, I'd love to see some sneaking around. Yoru, the maker of mischief. Sato, the one to pilot them. Chaotic on the other end. Who's gonna be the biggest mischief maker, right? That's the question.
It's got to be Sato. He had first blood with the op last time with just that lurker from Plug peeking him at B main. This could just happen again, but Sato still carves through Bones, even with the op approaching there from Chaotic. And he still wants his one, but now that he's smoked off, this is really going to delay things for Trust and Plug, maybe allowing them to explore the rest of the map in the meantime.
And this B setup has been so consistent. I mean, Sato has found so much value off of it, and now they've even bolstered it up by having Sova on there. Now Sato down towards tree. These repositions have been nasty. They've been really consistent, and Plug knows to some degree, but they have not found a good counter.
Sensing someone in tree and just having it start from the entry. That catches Teague on the exit, forcing him to commit or not. It's such a big brain play from Victor.
Oh no. That's all I can say. Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so unlucky, no.
That's a tough one. Yeah, and Plug were like, they're still just inching forward towards B, looking for Chaotic's pick with the op. They're causing a lot of disruption over on the boat side of things as the Omen teleports over. Okeanos joins the fray, and Plug have their bases covered, and that's about actually infiltrating the back of the site. They only have 12 seconds. And here's Plug. Once they spot the Okeanos paranoia, that was the time to engage. And M80 lock in, but they get locked down by Plug, and it's a spike that gets planted just barely in time, and it's up to Sato and Victor.
Hey, the Lobster Fisher, Moose really driving it for them, and now, how are you retaking with this op? Now, I will say there's a dimensional drift available for info.
Hoping that someone peeks him first and just Moose is out in the open like that. And Sato has a 1v2 to do. Chaotic still holding on to the op. And Sato's just better. 1 to go. But Sacred did manage to clip his wings. Sato 28 HP. Spike ticking down. May need to think about getting this halfway, but is worried about the Sacred peak at any second. And Sacred is quicker. Plug are in their shadow.
I almost half expected Sato, like, after their teammate fell, to get out of dodge. But the fact that I'm telling you, the mischief maker, the fact that Sato is able to just get in there and be like, you know what? Why not just find 2? And now M80 forced to a timeout here. Going to be discussing some, I would say, probably retake protocols, maybe changing up the Vice setup. It's been around a couple of rounds that they've had the same setups there. I don't expect Vice to be moving off just yet because of the amount of value you find on that utility, but I do expect maybe some, I would say some different retake protocols, backing out a bit more instead of site holding because it's been rough for them. But honestly, a really solid round out of Trust and Plug. I just got to give them a little bit of hype because that was unexpected. Moose really stepped up to the plate, showing that tier 1 prowess by entering, finding 2 within like a snap second of time. Just as a round recap, it was really won off of the fact that they managed to kind of get in there. And what a good overhead replay, even popping the ultimate for added info. And sure, Moose goes down, but honestly, that's the Lobster Fisher that we've come to know and love.
I think the early round from M80 is solid. They get the first pick off of Sato. They get the lay back, but maybe they're just a little too horizontal on the lay back because they have all this Vice delay. You pointed that out. But could M80 maybe capitalize on that a little bit better? And this is ever since that Trust and Plug timeout, they've been finding success with back-to-back round wins, forcing out the M80 timeout. So what started off as a 4-1 start for M80, they really met their match. And look how they're already upping the aggression just off the one-way, off of the Tejo drones or the salvos. M80 looking to press, but Plug just hang back and wait for M80's aggression to come to their front doorstep, and Plug have a beautiful punish to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an eco round out of M80. Okeanos is going to find no value, unfortunately. The one big thing of note is that they did kind of do what I said, where they keep the Vice towards the B site, but they allow Vice to explore a little bit more into mid and have some of the back ability where you can just get out of dodge if needed. What a timing. And what are the times to use the ult? Oh no.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. But regardless, we are starting to see M80 shift some of their stuff, and I'm really looking in this pre-round about that, because if they continue doing that, allowing Vice to kind of play into mid, setting Sato up towards the A site rather than the B site, not only is it a good change of pace out of them, but it allows them to take aggression in different parts of the map. One part of the map we haven't seen that's been not explored as much and left open by M80 is mid. But I will say they have had really good protocols of re-clearing and ensuring that mid is not a big problem.
Now Plug tie things up, and M80 we're hoping to have a bigger of a splash, but Moose with an early punish on that Sato peak that he likes to do at B. It'll be Caillou even trying his hand, or at least getting eyes on, is this a Plug push coming through B main, or is this a fake? And man, just these early peaks from M80 now really starting to shake things up as Plug are down to a 4v4.
It's 4v4, honestly, I'm going to say it favors them a lot. Teague has such a good position here alongside their other Senti to crawl up mid. Don't catch much though.
Caillou has to hang back, and he's got a crossfire with Bow. Hearing already Plug set up in the area, but the spike is actually heading into tree, and Victor gets found, gets surprised, and smoked off from glass. So Okeanos has to reposition, but Sacred was trying to beat him to the punch. Okeanos is a bodyguard at the door, but the shotgun's even too much for him. And the numbers are equal once again, but Plug, the jig is up, and they got a spike They got to get the spike down quick, and thankfully out of sight. No, Moose emerges, not expecting the defenders to be there already. The Steel Garden used there from Bao. Annihilation, trigger pulled from Teague. Ult versus ult. Nothing on the Annihilation. It looks like Teague will still have the weapon, and that's all that matters for Plug.
That truly felt like a Sentinel showdown, a Brainiac battle of the two players. I mean, Teague playing that really well, and ult for ult, and you have to back out of there if you're Bao. And now, I mean, puts into question here. Yes, Oki popped off. There was a lot that really went right for the side of M80, but at the end of the day, it comes down to that 1v1, and M80 is looking a little out of form with a 4-round loss streak. Back down to an eco, the timeout. Not favoring M80 here.
Plug really finding the sink, and Plug just running over Sato after M80 trying to change it up. Now Chaotic has come alive. They've really sealed this round together, especially when M80 had a broken bye. So it's all about farming up their ults, which Chaotic doesn't even really need to. He's going to have the cutoff easily on Victor, who's just slow walking by himself. And I think Okeanos is down to sit this round out.
Just farming out here. Ace on the pistols. Chaotic, honestly, though, has been popping off regardless of the eco ace and farming them up. It really is Chaotic coming alive. Right, Chaotic on the entries has been feeling a lot less disjointed. And honestly, I would even say the entire team as a whole feels less disjointed out of Trust and Plug. The socket has really started fitting in for them. And that's truly what needed to happen. Like, look at this push out. It's a perfect example of it, where they just managed to not only, at this point, yes, it was an eco, but they are setting up, and the core fundamentals still carry over round to round.
Trust and Plug are having better reactions, but ones that are a bit more confident in being able to find how disjointed M80 are. Chaotic with the dimensional drift, though, able to identify how far back these positions are and how much space Plug have to work with. So they just storm on in, but from behind, Sato strikes. And now Plug have a lot more angles to worry about, and they just set their sights forward. They evict Bao from the closet, and it's a spike that gets planted.
Honestly, I was a little worried for Trust and Plug, considering the fast rounds have been in favor of M80, but now on the retake, M80 looking to speed things up yet again.
It's up to Sato. Trying to identify where these players are. They don't have eyes on B main. They'll just smoke it off as M80 try to deal with one problem at a time, and there's two still within the site. Teague and Bones working so beautifully together on the high lows. Now Teague still has a net in his back pocket. Deals with Victor. We went from an ace to now a 4K Plug or something else.
I mean, I remember earlier saying Brainiac battles, but like truly IGL coming out here at the top of the board alongside Q hand in hand. And I mean, at this point, you've got to give it to Plug, where they have really started to fix a lot of the micro adjustments that they've had, the way that they've been playing together. And the first couple of, seconds of that round didn't seem to go in favor of them, but the hold out of Teague is honestly making me a little worried for the defensive side even. Like, imagine Teague defense side, B boathouse, right? It's going to be so solid out of them. Back towards another broken bye here for M80.
How did that even happen? Okeanos just gets cooked right in the middle of the smoke. And Plug just off just the information from Bones has been huge, and just the cutoff from Moose is even better. At least there's some punish from Sato. This round is not over yet, not with him. And Plug are down to a 2 versus 1 to end this half on a good note.
What a timing out of mid. That's so huge for Trust and Plug. I will say, amazing call for Victor here to rotate towards the B site with so much noise down mid and A. He's going to be in the right position at the right time. As they just crawl up. I mean, Plug, they do have that Annihilation available from Teague, which, by the way, is crazy that we're seeing it so often out of this IGL, who's just been fragging again, just to give them a bit more hype. And for this M80 squad, it's a difference of 4 rounds. If they can get this one, it'll be only a difference of 2.
30 seconds M80, Victor is giving them a sense of security by playing this deep into the site. They've cleared it, but not this final area. Annihilation! Victor is claimed, and Trust and Plug will go 8 to 4.5 on a win streak at that, which is a crazy thing. Ever since their timeout, Plug have really turned up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's gonna really kind of, like I think I said this a little bit ago, it's going to scare me for this defensive side, considering that double senti defense alongside Yor has been proven to be a very solid composition for a lot of teams. Obviously, there's a little bit of debate on whether you're going to be going for the Cypher or the Vice. But I think with Moose and how Moose is playing as an individual, Cypher makes sense. It's really solid on that player. More than all of that, this 1v1 was just unfortunate. And the ultimate coming to play near the very, very end is, again, off the back of the fact that Teague is able to get so many frags and just kill so many people while playing as that sedentary Sentinel.
Yeah, if you keep activating these alerts from Moose, could be a lot of success from that side, and that's why you brought him on the team. M80's pistol begins with them just taking a lot of control over at Pizza, maybe trying to wrap around Market. Caillou is getting suppressed. There's nets, everything being thrown in his direction. And he's going to keep himself safe while M80 just busts through the front door. They're not even going to knock. They're not going to ring the doorbell. It's Bao that opens things up, and M80 fled in, but not without some congestion from Plug to limit their forces on entry. Bones gonna hope to sneak up on them at stairs and maybe converge with the Sentinel there of Moose. And they do. They pinch Victor and Okeanos, and it's a 1v1 for the pistol.
I have the spike.
Oh, man. You have to fall back here. There's one shock dart and a dart available for scan, but timing's rather thin.
Now the Seeker joins Moose. No longer the duel. It's now a 2v1. Moose has been tagged high-low. Let's set up, and Caillou just thought they were going to be at the back site, and Plug, they're getting real close to being in a dangerous position, and with this pistol, they could get a lot of momentum to push M80 to match point very soon.
Yeah. Realistically, like, that's the way, I mean, I feel like a broken record. That's the way that I've been seeing it go, is with these compositions out of Ascent. A new meta has shifted into it. And Trust and Plug are playing it really well. It got dicey there. I will give huge props to M80 for just trying to break through as fast as possible out of mid. The timing's a little rough there. The high-low flicked to but not found. Now it's going to cause, I would say, a little bit... I think it'd be cause for concern next round because it's going to be the rifle round. If they can't pick up the rifle on round number 15, that will truly be alarm bells for Chet and the rest of the coaching staff if they have someone helping out, or if we see Psycho helping out in this case since Drew's departure. All head cannon.
Maybe up to Teague trying to keep some of the Sentinel util back, because Caillou's been really good using the shock bolts just at the front doors to take care of some of this stuff. And Chaotic had a lot of enemies in front of him and still managed to get one and isolate this one at a time, even with his teammate by his side. So M80 are really going to be limited on their options if they're not able to fight back.
Like the walk up out of mid, trying to catch them off guard, but the timing of it just feels a little unfortunate out of M80. But they're on an eco, so Sheriffs need to shoot here, and we need to see Caillou on that fragging roll as the IGL.
He was huge in the last pistol, and M80 had such a great start with how strong the B-side defense was because of Caillou. Now it's a 1v3 with just the classic, so M80 gotta figure out how they can suppress Plug, because the trades are very much favoring this defense, and with the double senti, it's going to be a lot for M80 to overcome.
And just the adaptability we've been seeing out of Plug, where the setups keep changing round to round, really shows that they've probably practiced this composition a fair bit. Sometimes like on the pistol, we saw most of the Sentinel utility towards A with a stack on B. Now in this replay, you could even see even more so. We have some of the Sentinel utility stalling on A, where you have the Cypher set up on the B site, acting as that KJ to some degree. And at this point, you can even see the same, if not like almost identical setup out of the Sentinels. The difference being that they're pushing out of A main and then sending it out after the gate crash.
A lot of good map control from M80. It's now about just trying to find Bones. And he's going to be in a position to let M80 walk in, but to cut them off. And hoping that the smoke is what's going to stagger M80, not allow them to react as fast. And the trips, too, being put on the market side to try and expect M80's push.
Yeah. I think also as they kind of collapse onto this B site, something to note is the lurk down A and its timings, implication of it.
Okay, well, Kiana's able to get something done, remove Chaotic, and this has Plug maybe trying to bolster the A side. You see this deadlock, you see Teague rejoin Sacred side, and M80 are going to take that as a sign that gotta hit the weaker site. And it's a little tougher than they expected to get through Tree. They do manage to dislodge the person in Glass. It's up to Sacred to keep himself safe, and he only has time to really teleport into Hell when maybe he wished he escaped through Heaven. And M80 are doing a good job of circumventing the challenges of this round. And it's a 2v2, all up to Sato. He's gonna drop, and he's been discovered. A big turnaround from Plug.
I did not expect them to take that kill down towards A and try and snowball it into a victory. And yeah, I was gonna say immediate timeout. I mean, I expected this if it was lost and Plug managed to pick up round 15. That round 16, we're 1000% seeing a timeout of desperation, but it feels out of desperation because at this point, we have gone about 10 rounds in a row with the fact, like, it's a bit wild to say that it's about 10 rounds in a row that we've seen out of this squad for M80 not to be able to fight back with the role swaps, with the positive role swaps in my mind, and it's not really working for them. That's the real question, is like, if this is what's happening here, it does kind of, you know, feel like a weak point for M80, this Ascent map and composition. Now, to be fair, I don't want to talk about it too early, but Split is on the table next, and they are way better on Split. This could be a 3-mapper. So don't get your hopes up. Yeah. At the same time, if Plug is going to like read into this, you have the firepower of Moose as an individual. I really wouldn't be surprised if we see Plug just going at it with fervor and maybe even pushing it to double digits for both teams on Split.
And this was also an Ascent map that hasn't been in the map pool in a while. So Trust and Plug, this was their pick. They're well drilled on it and were able to get back on their feet as soon as they had that early deficit. And what a win streak. And Trust and Plug have both Sentinel util on B, Trip, Sonic sensors galore. So it's about this Yoru. Can it clone up, try to deal with some of these trips? If you can get lucky with the shock bolts from Caillou. But leaving the spike all the way behind, M80 have to assess what the game plan is.
Cleared out a good chunk of mid, so goal to insert Sato deeper, or as deep as they can. But there should be it's again the master of mischief. Who's going to be doing it the best here on this map? With a lean towards A and a player wine, this is going to be tough.
Oh no. Kiana's can't even teleport. Unfortunate timing. And you don't even have the help of Sacred because he's smoked off and may need to teleport back into the point if that were to dissipate, but looks like the threat is gone. Caillou's gonna rejoin the spike because they're trying to make entry into B. It moves a huge double kill, unsmoked, unperturbed, and caged up though and put to bed there by Sato. And maybe have a chance, have a recovering the spike. Bones doesn't get hit by the net, a sense of security. And Sato quicker to the trigger, the one to salvage the round. A 2 versus 3 though is still a challenge they have to overcome. And Plug have already begun flooding in. Yoru clone is out. Flash from Chaotic kind of hits him, but he's still able to frag out against Caillou, and Plug go to match point off of this.
And I'm starting to really enjoy the way Plug is playing. I want to change my pred because that setup towards A was really good. Like, you have the double, it's the same sort of setup that we saw pistol round, where you have a stack of Sentinel utility towards one site. Let's see if I can get this paragraph out here and within my 20 seconds. You set up that utility together. It allows you to bolster that site. They can then stack towards the other side. You set up a player towards wine. You force them to go into the setup. Once they're forced to go into the setup, they lose players. And even if they take down your sentinels, that gives you so much time to rotate on in, meaning that in any scenario, Plug should be winning. And it's just so beautiful to see that how it's developing. Now, don't get me wrong, if every team's going to be running this, I might be very sad, but who knows?
Oh, is he okay? Sato's gonna uncloak in the cage while the rest of his team is barriered off. Oh, the game plan. It was there, but just halted by the double senti util, the bread and butter of Plug. And M80 is still gonna try and frag where they can. Victor with the big 2. M80 are here to dance. And they still managed to overwhelm Plug despite all of those delays. Now it's a 3 versus 1.
Great call out of M80. Just brawl through it. Just fight. It's like, hey, let's just fight. And that's the thing in my mind is like, how is the Yoru utility going to play against the double senti comp? Because Yoru can TP on in. The first round, by the way, picked up. First round picked up within a hot streak out of just Trust and Plug. I mean, good on them. I want to see more of this fighting. The big sort of looming overshadow is the match point of Plug. But even then, showing these bits of prowess for M80, making the game closer, should help them in the long run. And who knows? There's always comebacks. There's always those stories of teams reeling it in.
Still match point, and M80 are going to have to play it flawless. At least they broke the insane win streak. But all rides on this round. The rifles and the best chance that they have. Especially where they've inserted Okeanos to try and catch if Sacred was going to peek early. No cigar there. Their lurk activated on the left side. But after M80 faced double senti util and how disjointed that was, it's still going to be super sketchy if you think about going through B main.
Yes, they're going to try and lean towards the A. Another re-clear. Whoa, good call. Immediate call on the Hunter's Fury. Catch them with utility. Victor's down. And it's off that first tick. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Plug left the middle of the map open on purpose. That red carpet now soaked in blood as M80 has to make do without it, and hosed down by Sacred and Moose, the firing squad in tree to pretty much secure this map. We'll see. Okeanos able to use the ult to get the spike in hand at the front door. He's about to say hello to his mirror and better half of Sacred. 13-5 for Trust and Plug. We're trusting the process and certainly their map pick.
Yeah, that seems extremely drilled out of them. We're talking about the really nerdy setups, the way that they've been maneuvered, the double sentinel composition that they're running, and just the one round that was picked up for M80 was the brawl round where they just kind of fought into it. And it almost felt, I didn't want to say exactly like doomed from the start when they started that round slow, because you can always pop a little fast out of it, but it's the slow walk up that really kind of bit M80. And unfortunately, when you're going into double senti, when you have the setups already kind of locked in, you're either going into a stack or you're going into a bunch of utility. And that's a like lose-lose scenario. For M80 though, there is one line of hope. Split is up next, so hopefully we can see some dominance there. Hopefully, I'll hands up.
I'm like the opposite of Gompers, you know. I have a lot of belief, but not in the best of ways, because Trust and Plug go to so many map 3s and they have a negative record when it comes to winning them. We'll see if M80 can push them the distance. I want to see a map 3. I want to be entertained, and I want to see you guys after this break.
I don't think I have a favorite, but I am a fan of many cereals, I won't lie. Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles are like okay, but like Captain Crunch, very good. I love Captain Crunch. Then there's a lot of like, you know, low-key ones too that I gotta keep like hidden, but I do like cereal.
My comfort food is probably some pho, some like banh mi. Like my mom's like a really good cook, so she makes like a lot of good Vietnamese food.
My comfort food would probably be poutine. I miss Quebec. I miss the food there. So I said poutine will make me feel at home and good, straight up.
For me, my favorite comfort food would be like a nice warm soup.
I gotta focus. I'm shifting the soup mode.
It's just real nice and warm and hearty inside. There's nothing like it when it's like nice and cold. Especially where like I'm from, it's like mostly cold like year round, except for maybe like 3-4 months. I'd say it's generally cold. So soup is definitely like my comfort food.
Probably like like a nice cheeseburger or like some good pizza. It's like pretty chill. Can't really go wrong with that. Maybe pancakes. Ooh, pancakes. Oh.
I think my mom's mac and cheese. I had that like a lot growing up, and it's like definitely like a favorite of mine to have when I go back home from college. So yeah, I'd say my mom's mac and cheese. It's really good.
That's kind of hard. I feel like a comfort food is something that like comes from my culture, just something like my mom would make or like my grandma would make. So I'll say some biryani. You know, it's like a Pakistani dish that they would make a lot. It's just like, you know, some rice, some lamb or chicken, and it's just really good. So I'd say that.
My comfort food has to be like Chick-fil-A. You can't go wrong with their chicken sandwiches. So always spicy. Yeah, spicy is always better.